today's class, we'll be discussing about control structure and output operation. Earlier, already in previous classes, we had discussed about identifier, keyword, various data types supported by C language, and the operators that C supports. Today's class, we'll discuss about control structures and already mentioned in previous class identifiers in C. We had studied keyword. We had studied exhaustively the various keyword that C supports, various data types along with their examples. We had discussed in the previous class, and the operators, and had demonstrated through examples how each and every operators can be used in. Now, what is control structure? It is a way to specify flow of control in program. You can, through the control structures available, see, you can control the flow of execution of the program. Otherwise, by default, the flow of execution is always sequential. Any algorithm or program can be more clear and understood if they use self-contained modules called as logic. Basically analyzes and chooses in which direction a program flows based on certain parameters or conditions. Under the control structure, there are various control structures which we are going to discuss. These are sequential logic, or we also call as sequential flow, selection logic or conditional flow, and iteration logics or repetitive flow. Each and every control structure controls the execution of the program different. Let's consider the sequential logic or sequential flow. As the diagram suggests, in case of sequential logic or sequential flow, if we consider that your program has got multiple modules, module A, module B, module C, and by default, these modules are going to be executed in sequence order as has been in the diagram. So thus, sequential logic, as the name suggests, follows a serial or sequential flow in which the flow depends on the series of instructions. Unless a new instructions are given, the modules are always executed sequence. Like for example, it's a very simple example I'm giving you. Here if you see the execution, the flow of execution of the program will start from int main, then it will execute printf statement, then it will execute return 0 state. So they here, because we are not controlling, we are not giving any other control structure over here. So therefore, by default, the execution of this program will be sequenced one after another. Like whereas in case of selection logic or conditional flow, as has been discussed, as has been demonstrated in the diagram, if you put a condition, based on that condition, module A will be executed. And if your condition is false, then module B will be executed. So here, based on the condition, or you can say based on some decision, the control flow of execution will vary, either module A or module B. Therefore, we can call, or we can explain, selection logic simply involves a number of conditions or parameters which decides one out of several written modules. As has been given in the examples also, either your module A will be executed or module B will be executed based on the condition. The structure which use this type of logic are known as conditional. Now, here is an example we have given. The simple example where we are trying to find out whether a number is even or odd. Or here the condition. Here module A you can consider as printf statement. Module B you can consider as printf, another printf statement for printing odd. Module a printf statement where it is printing even. So here therefore up to integer a, print f, enter the number, then scanf, accepting the number up to this third line, and you can consider the decision statement also, all are in sequence. But if you consider the fourth statement where a decision has been taken, so based on this decision, either the number is even, that will be printed, or the number is odd, that will be printed. Therefore, based on the condition of which is mentioned in the statement 4, one statement will be executed, or otherwise another statement will. Therefore, the control flow of execution of the program purely depends on the decision which has been taken by your program, the fourth statement. So this program comes under selection or control, because here we are selecting a particular execution flow based on certain condition. So here, as I have given the exam input also, if you give a number 6, yeah, only number is even will be displayed. Therefore, the else part is not going to be done. After displaying given number is given, the control will come to return 0. Then your end of the execution. Then the next is your iteration logic or repetitive word structure. So in this control structure, here we are going to repeat certain instructions again and again iteratively, but in sequence. For example, if you see, there are two ways by which we can allow our program to have a iteration logic or repetitive. One is repeat for structure, another is repeating using while structure. So for structure either you can use, or while structure. In case of for structure, as has been in your example, for I is equal to a to n, then you are going to execute the module, whichever module you consider. So therefore, for I is equal to a to n, so based on the value you are putting for a and based on the value you are putting, and the module which you are writing inside this for structure is going to be repeated again and again in sequence. Similarly, in case of while structure, a repeat while condition. So here we are going to write down a condition. As long as that condition is true, the module which you are writing inside this while structure is going to be repeated again and again. So therefore, we can explain iteration logic as the iteration logic employs a loop which involves a repeat statement followed by a module known as the body of the loop. Here, the body of the loop, here will, if we consider for structure, the body of the loop will be considering for I is equal to a to n, a from a to n, this is the loop. Inside that loop, the body will be your module. Similarly, in case of while structure, inside the while loop, the condition will be, because the loop is going to be continued as long as the while condition is true, and whatever you write as a part of the module will be the body of this. In the previous one, as has been already explained, is the initial value, n is the end value, and the I that I will be that I that written, then that either as increment. Now, another example we are given here, just to make you people understand how this iteration works. It is a very simple example where I am trying to print the value from 1 to 100. And here we are using one of the control structure which comes under iteration, that is your for structure. As has been shown here, your a value and n value, if you consider the for structure, your a value is 1, n value is 100, and increment is 1, that is plus plus, where each time we are incrementing by 1. So here print f percentage dx, this comes under the body of the loop. So this particular statement will be executed repeatedly in sequence from 1 for 1 to 100. So therefore it is going to print 1 to 100. So the body of the statement which you are writing under the body is going to be repeated again and again in sequence. So this is, now let's come to input output in C. A C language has the standard libraries that allows you input to have perform input and output in a program. The standard library that we use in C is sio.s, that has method for input scanf, that has method for output also, that is printf. Already you are in your examples also. The scanf method in C reads the value from the console as per the type specified. For example, this when you'll be writing scanf, as already we had discussed in previous classes also, we need two information for the scanf function. One is percentage x, another is m%, then variable of particular type, whichever type you use. So that percentage x is called a format specifier in C. It is a way to tell the compiler what type of data is in a variable. So therefore, you have to be very specific regarding the format specifier you are using when writing the scanf. So this should always be consistent with the type of variable you are using. And another, this ampersand symbol that we use, ampersand is the address operator in C, which tells the compiler to change the real value of this variable and stored at this particular address in memory. Similarly, another input-output operation, as is mentioned earlier, this printf method. This printf method, which again comes under stdio.h standard library, it allows you to print the value passed as the parameter to it on the console screen. The syntax for this one is again two information you require. One is format specifier, another without ampersand symbol, the variable. The percentage x is the format specifier. Again, it has to be consistent with the variable. If it is integer, you should use percentage %g, and the variable which you have declared as integer value. So therefore, in today's class, we have studied about the various control structure, three types of control structure, and the input-output operations that is supported by C, is your scanf and printf. So for the references are concerned, these are the references you can follow. And if you have any query, always you can contact me. This particular mail address that has been provided. Thank you, students.